All right, welcome. There we go. All right, so short introduction today. Let's see what we have here. All right, so that screen is fixed. Yeah, so we took like a multi-day hiatus here. Um, I think I took yesterday off because we finished a big edit that day, and then for several days I was working on an edit of Space Tards. So that one is completed, and I'm currently have like 2 of the 12 pieces of chapter art, and it's back to the editor for proofreading. And I was so happy with the job that editor did that I'm going to see if he's interested in working on this book once we complete the edit, which should be in like 45 to 60 days if I can get my act together and start doing this on a reasonable schedule again. Yeah, I don't like to break up the routine on editing something like this, but some mornings, you know, I've got a short story that I really want to work on, and I needed to finish that novella because like I'd like to start publishing it in June or maybe like July. Honestly, I should do like a month of marketing and see what that does for me. Ooh. Coconut water, you're the one. All right. But yeah, like, so I don't know if anybody managed to catch that editing stream where we were going through the author's proofread. We had like a different camera setup and everything for it. I had like 4 fucking screens pointed at me at the time. It worked out really well. I think that's a strong piece. And I'm getting advice from my friends. They're like, please, God, just change the fucking title. Don't call your book Space Tards. And I have to consider what they're saying. But I think in all likelihood, we will probably call the book Space Tards. What can I say? That's how I'm wired there. All right. Yeah, it's going to be like a relatively short editing stream today because I was up late doing the show last night and watching Die Hard. But I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, here in New York, seems like people are starting to ease off of some of that quarantine. What you call it? Like some things are going to start opening up on the 15th. Probably not restaurants. Probably not anything where big groups of people are packed together. Except it doesn't really fucking matter because the subways have been jam packed this entire time. So, so what is this? Chapter 12. If you've never tuned into the stream before and you're just stumbling across this on YouTube and are like chained to a fucking desk to where you can't change the channel already, this is a story about 3 people: Lemon, a bartender; Maybe, a young man who has turned invisible; and Sarah, who is known as the Electric Lady in this story. Those are the 3 principal characters. There's a bunch of other characters here. It takes place in New York City, probably, I want to say, around 2004. And it's based on a true story. Real talk. All right, so chapter 12. Do you see what I see? Mm. Mm-mm. The pain of being a shitbag fades to a dull roar, but the hurt in Maybe's gut. Oh, wow. The pain of being a shitbag fades to a dull roar, but the hurt in Maybe's gut remains. A big black fear resonates through him, like lightning rippling through a storm front. Is that necessary? Um, I think that is a hokey fucking simile right there. Yeah, we're just gonna chop it. Lightning rippling through a storm front. I mean, I can see it, but I can't feel it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like rap. You know, if you can't feel it, what the fuck are you doing? The pain of being a shitbag fades to a dull roar, but the hurt in Maybe's gut remains. A big black fear resonates through him. What if it's appendicitis? Maybe he has a vision of a surgeon's blood-streaked gloves disappearing into mid-air, wrenching around like he's trying to pull a carburetor. I guess all surgeons are doctors. This is like halfway between the dream right here. Maybe has a version of a surgeon's blood-soaked gloves disappearing into midair, wrenching around like he's trying to pull a carburetor. The doctor's gray eyes twinkle in the brilliant operating room light. Above his surgical mask, the doctor's gray eyes twinkle in the brilliant operating room light. The surgeon throws up his hands and sings, "Are the stars out tonight?" in a deep, half-laughing voice. The surgical mask is creased into a grin as he kicks over a tray of implements, sending tools clattering all over the floor. "I can't see anything at all," he croons, as maybe lies... okay. Tough paragraph. Like wrenching about like he's trying to pull a carburetor. Above his mask, the doctor's gray eyes twinkle in the brilliant operating room light. The surgeon throws up his hands and sings, "Are the stars out tonight?" in a deep, half-laughing voice. Ooh, yeah, this is a bad fucking paragraph. Okay, so here, maybe is having a vision of somebody trying to perform an appendectomy on him when he is invisible, which like would basically doom him, I guess. There. Why is this paragraph so bad? All right, what are you trying to? Oh yes, hello, Sarah Grimm. Welcome there. Strapped to an operating table, slit open. A surgeon. Sith. Okay, so Sarah Grimm is not doing so well and is kind of ashamed, really. Huh. Well, shit. I mean, none of us are doing particularly well at the moment. So, you're not alone. I don't know, This ain't gonna be forever. Like, the only things that are forever are things that are forever. You know what I'm saying? So, I wouldn't sweat it there. Yeah, anything I can do to help, just let me know. But, yeah, like, most likely you're watching this, you still got your health. So that's a fucking start right there. But yeah, it's a tough fucking time out there at the moment there. Ooh, yeah, I was doing pretty fucking rough a few weeks ago. I was like in a deep fucking pit, and it, slowly climbing out of it is all you can really do. But yeah, people are fucking here. We're all alive. We're all strangers here on the internet, but it don't matter. We're gonna make it one way or the other. I have that dream. Here I am, like hungover as fuck from the show last night, still trying to hack in on my dream. I'm sure that you got a dream too. And you just gotta keep chopping away at it like it's a big fucking log standing in your path. It's about my old story, and I'm ashamed of it because of how bad this story is. Well, here's a little advice that I can give you. If you read something and you think how bad something is, give it some time. Like, set it aside for like 3 to 6 months, right? And then come back to it. Because the thing is that a process is happening as you're reading a story that you're working on. You already know everything that's going to happen in the story, all the big reveals, all the dopamine that you would get as a reader when new things are revealed to you. It's like, oh, that thing happened and so forth. You're not getting that. You're already familiar with the story. And so as an artist, when you're working on a piece, all that you're aware of are the flaws in the piece for the most part, because you've already experienced all those highs of creation and the lows of like struggling to find something. And, like your mind is programmed so that you don't feel the same thing with the same intensity every single time. Everything is meant to fade. And it's really just a mechanism in us so that we don't just see a beautiful sunset and just stare at that beautiful sunset every day for our entire lives until a fucking lion eats us. We're really programmed to be continuously on the move, to never be satisfied, to always be striving. And it's what we're made for there. So you can kind of trick your brain here. If a story seems real shitty, give it like 3 to 6 months, right? Like I have some garbage writing from when I was like 17, 18 years old. But going back to it nowadays, like, yeah, I can see that person was trying too hard and like technically not there, but the ideas seem new to me. And so they're interesting. Then again, it may not be good writing, which is fine. It takes literally 10 years to get any good at this. I really maintain that. And maybe I'm just like a late bloomer or whatever, but I did not feel like competent at this at all for like 10 years. So if you've been writing for less than 10 years, you don't even have to worry about it. You can just have a good time. I don't expect anybody to put out anything worthy of publication until they have given this like a solid 10 years of working at it professionally, just because it's really hard. It's not an easy thing to do. And maybe some people are naturals, and maybe some people come into this game with like a lot of help, like a great degree and all kinds of whatever. But if you're just learning it on your own, like yours truly, it takes 10 fucking years. So if you set it aside for almost 2 years, read it, revise it, edit it, and still feel like I'm defeating myself, if something that you're working on is not making you happy, just set it aside. Work on something new. Not every story is going to be a success. For every one of these books that you see me editing up here, and it must look like fucking clockwork here because I'm editing a new one every single time. These are the good ones, right? These are the ones that fucking made it. For every one of these books that I start, there are like 5 or 6 stories that I started that went nowhere, and those stories are always part of you. They're like in you, like kind of twisting in your guts, wanting to like burst out like a xenomorph. But they'll always be in you, the things that you want to tell. And the ones that you can't get out, that you can't make happen, it always kind of hurt a little bit. But that's just, it's part of the trade of, and it's a good trade, right? Because the highs of like getting the story that you want and actually making that vision happen are incredible. And so I would, better than the vast majority of sex that I've had in my life. Like better than fucking getting like an unexpected $5,000 bonus or whatever. They're really like some of the highest peaks that you can climb to without the assistance of drugs, and maybe even better than some of those. So yeah, man, not everything's gonna fucking pan out. Have somebody that you trust gander at this story for you, but not one of the people that you trust with your feelings. One of the people that you trust artistically, and they'll tell you, whether it's bullshit or not. Or you can try and workshop it with like a group, and people might give you some direction on it. Like I've had a lot of spaces where I was fucking frozen, where an outside person, shout outs to an editor named Chris, who helped me fix survival mode way back in the day. So I wanted a story where everyone, including me, will enjoy it. And so far, no one enjoyed it. I haven't read your story or whatever, but things that appeal to everyone are notoriously difficult to achieve. Like, I think the only thing that everybody on Earth can agree on is that, like, puppies are cute. That's pretty much it. Puppies are cute. Food is good. Like, sex is desirable. Those are the constants among us. Music is okay. Very hard to appeal to a lot of people here. Like, every time that like this book that we're writing right here, this is going to appeal to a very narrow stretch of people. It's not, this is not like, a fucking algebra teacher is going to pick this guy up and be like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed it, Zach. No, it's not going to fucking happen. In fact, I have 5 fucking books out right now. And when I meet somebody, I'm like, oh, you won't like this one, but you might like this one, right? And that's why having like a big body of work that you can show people, you can't be all things to all people, but if you have enough things, you might have something for everybody. Whew. But also, one more caveat here is that only one person that it really matters if they like your stories, and that's you, right? So if you go into something with an audience in mind, and you're not part of that audience, you're not really gonna like it. You know what I mean? Like, the only person that really has to love your books is you, and then you'll be happy as a writer. Like, I just put out that Space Tards book, right? Some people are gonna be fucking aghast at it. It's dumb, right? It's like literally like dwarves in outer space, playing Three Stooges and shooting giant starfish. But I like that kind of stuff. I love the interplay between those characters. I like the weird dungeon crawly aspect of it. Like, the whole time that I'm writing and editing it, you can see me like laughing because I like what's going on there. Like, even I'm working on this piece right here, and I like the weird, this guy's like janky vision of the Invisible Man getting operated on by a crazed surgeon or whatever. I like that kind of shit. Like I'm like deep into the like Bill Burroughs, Dr. Benway type fucking situation. I think it's a Sinister Doctors, get my rocks off. So it's a lot of words for somebody I don't know. But, hopefully some of that shit is helpful, or at least not directly harmful. The story's probably all right. If nobody likes it, it's probably not good. But that's okay. Move on. Work on another story. I have, like I said, the last book that we edited, Gravid, I spent 3 years working on that story. I have sent it to 30 or 40 agents so far. And everybody's been like, no, I will not publish your 800-page book about depression. And I will tell you another thing. I have sent it to a bunch of my friends who I like quite a bit. And those friends have like very studiously told me, like it's like a little depressing. I'm having a hard time getting through it. Like it's always like I don't want to read something depressing like right before bed or some other excuse because they don't like it, right? But none of that shit matters, right? It's okay that they don't like it because I like it. I fucking love that book. I think it is a fantastic book. It is exactly the book that I wanted it to be. And the only thing that I regret is that I don't have, I haven't been able to find a good editor for it that I can afford. Let's see. So somehow I feel like sharing the story to prove what I mean, but after last time, it's pretty much pointless. Well, definitely don't share your story on anybody who you don't know personally. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't feel like it's a good story, don't put it out there to strangers on the internet because they will not think so either. And strangers on the internet don't have to be nice to you. They will sometimes be assholes just to be assholes. Like if they're like, oh, we can tear this person down, they will fucking do it. And keep in mind, like even if your story is fucking bad, it's a process, right? I was not a good editor at all when I started this process of editing online. I'm still a shitty editor, right? I wouldn't pay me $10 an hour to do the editing that I'm doing right now because I'm that bad at it. But I'm getting better, slowly but surely. But yeah. Oh, I'm sorry that you're feeling rough about the creative thing right there. But just keep in mind, it gets better. Like you're not going to write a fantastic story every time out at the bat. Nobody does that. Not every piece that you work on, even some of the pieces that you love, are just not going to translate to other people. But eventually, if you keep working at it, you will get better and better and better, and you'll come up with something amazing. Like really and truly, everybody has at least one amazing story inside of them that can appeal to huge numbers of people. Not everybody, but huge numbers of people. And it's never quite the story that you expect. Just ask like, forgetting his last name, but Burroughs. I think that was fucking Anthony, the guy who wrote Clockwork Orange. His name was something Burroughs, but people love his story, and it was his absolute least favorite of his stories. He just like churned it out to make a buck. He just thought it was cool to include a lot of violence, and of course everybody loved it. But I got a story to edit myself here. I'm sure your story is like not as bad as you think it is right now because you seem like you're in a dark pit. So don't ever do anything like deleting it or whatever. Might just need a little juicing up, or maybe it's really fucking good and you just haven't found the right audience for it. Keep trying. I think I gave like 7 different kinds of advice. Some of them contradicted each other. Well, I hate to see fucking somebody struggling out there because this like writing, holy shit, some of the pits that I have been in trying to do this stuff before I just got so fucking dead to it all. Then I can just be like, yeah, I can write, I can write a fucking novel that I like. Spend 3 years doing it. I don't give a shit. Like that process took like a long time. And it's still ongoing, believe you me. I'm about to try and market a book called Space Tards, like it's only going to get worse from here. Maybe has a vision. He's strapped to the operating table, slit open. The surgeon's gloves disappear in it. He wrenches his hands about like he's trying to pull a carburetor. Oh, wait. Yeah, just... also, Sarah Grimm, are you somebody that sent me a story previously? And like maybe I didn't respond with feedback or something like that. If that's the case, yeah, just message me on IRC and I'll talk with you about it. I'll like take some time out of the stream and tell you what I feel about it. But I digress. If you're not that person, then don't worry about it. But whew. All right, so what if it's appendicitis? Maybe he has a vision. He's strapped to an operating table, sliced open. The surgeon's gloves disappear into midair over his stomach, streaked with blood. The man's gray eyes glitter in the harsh operating theater lights. He wrenches his hands about like he's trying to pull a carburetor. No, I haven't. And what is that exactly? Now, yeah, somebody else sent me a story that I did not care for. And I'd like my feedback to them was like, hey, this is not my kind of thing. And it's, I feel bad for them. They're a really nice person. I want them to succeed in writing and everything, but it was just like not my thing. And so that was like my feedback. Hey, this ain't for me. Sorry, I can't tell you more. And that's hard feedback to take too, especially when you put your time and effort into something and made something and thought somebody would really like it. Oof, that one twists in you like a knife. And I know, because I've had the same shit happen to me. Whew. Oh yeah, I can still feel that pain all these years later. I want no dice. No dice. His voice deep and mirthful. Okay, so what do we got here? What are we trying? How are we trying to fix this? So really janky paragraph that we started here. First we had like that simile that was just like super cliche. So now the pain of being a shitbag fades to a dull roar, but the hurt in maybe his gut remains. A big black fear resonates through him. What if it's appendicitis? That should have a question mark, not a bracket. Whew. Oh, they're angle brackets. That was the I kept calling them greater than and less than signs, but they're called angle brackets. And just fucking, it's been decades since I knew that information. Maybe he has a vision. Oh, yeah, I like that colon there. Maybe he has a vision. He's strapped to an... Oh, no, that's not a good colon. He's strapped to an operating table, sliced open. The surgeon's gloves disappear into midair over his stomach, streaked with blood. His gray eyes glitter in the harsh operating theater lights. He wrenches his hands about like he's trying to pull a carburetor. No dice. No, let's take that out. At last, the surgeon throws up his bloody hands. It's hopeless. Are the stars out tonight? He sings out, his voice deep and mirthful. Okay, so Sarah Grimm says, I don't know if I explained what my story is about here, but in a nutshell, it's basically Jules Verne with werewolves in a fictional steampunk world. I was going to write a series of stories taking place in this fictional world, but things didn't work out well. Yeah, that's fine. I like... So, if the world that you've generated there is like super duper important to you, just try writing a story from a different character's perspective in there. If you want an example of like how amazing perspective can be, just in terms of like the power of a piece, one thing I always recommend is to watch like both the movie version and to read the book of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Because the movie is told through oh God, why can't I remember the protagonist's name there? And the movie is told through the eyes of McMurphy, this sort of Christ figure that is part of like this whole storyline set in a mental hospital. And the fucking book is told through the perspective of one of the quasi-comatose patients, Big Chief. And I hope I remember. It's like an Indian dude. And holy shit, the difference in the stories is staggering. And like when you like check the two out, you just... I never would have thought to like make a quasi-comatose patient be the point of view, but it works incredibly well. And it's a great fucking book. And they're both relatively short, you know, the movie and the book, so they're worth your time. But yeah, man, just try from a different perspective. If the world is really important to you, that's like one of those. I can't. I don't like steampunk stuff at all. It's a major turn off for me. So I can't help out much there. Oh, I've never been big on werewolves either. I don't like werewolves or vampires or the undead also as a theme. Usually just turns me off. I don't find them scary anymore. I think I've like just phased out of the point in my life where I think that could be possible. But one of the things I noticed as I got older was like things like that used to have the power to scare me just had like no power whatsoever. And it became harder to write horror at all because I just couldn't fucking relate because I had, you know, just like so tired of being alive that you're just like, fuck it. Yeah, just eat my brain. There, fucking zombie. I'm done. So, are the stars out tonight? He sings out. Maybe he tries to scream for help, but there's a tube in his mouth. Throat. He's been intubated or intubated, or there's a tube in his throat. The surgeon. The doctor's surgical mask creases into a grin and he boots over a tray of implements, sending them clattering across the theater. I can't see anything at all. He grin. So let's say that song has special significance for me, but it's a song by the Flamingos. Shabub shabub. Be-doo boom. Mm. I will tell you, while we're sitting here, I have a 240,000 word story set in the fantasy world where Xan and Ink and the Master Arcanist series take place. 240,000 words. That's like an almost 800 or 900 page. Was going to be a trilogy or whatever, and I just couldn't finish the motherfucker. You know what I mean? I put like 3, 4, maybe like 5 years into that guy. It's still the fantasy world that I use as the backdrop for like all my stuff. But yeah, like I never could finish that guy. And an editor constantly telling me like, finish this thing. It's good. Finish it. And I've just never been able to revisit it. And now, God, having to go back and rewrite all that horse shit and fix all the plotting and everything I know is wrong with it. It just seems like a impossible task. But I did get out of that a relatively rich fantasy world that I was able to spin into like a full-length novel and a whole series of novellas, which are now novel-length. All right, hold on, let me check. Somebody is chatting at me. It's important that I holler at them. Let me see. Oh, hold on. Oh, this guy's a bad fucking actor here. Hold on just a second. Who is just hanging out and not math? That's weird. All right. Anyhow, what a distracting morning here. Not making a ton of progress. But, you know, it's when you take a break for several days, this is what happens to you. Maybe gas reaching for his stomach. He's still sitting on the sidewalk, but it really felt like he was there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. God damn. Yeah, like I have some slings and arrows of some interlopers trying to discredit me in another chat right there. But part of the nice thing about having like your entire existence public, like live stream 24/7, is that everybody knows exactly what I'm about. Like there's enough material on me out there that I'm always exonerated by the fact that everybody already knows what I am. You know, there's nothing to fucking hide. All right, so the first story was around the world in 80 days, but shortened by 10 days. And then the second story was from Earth to the moon and around the moon, but a habitable moon and sentient alien life that looked like bunnies. Oh, that's cute. Third one was an incomplete Shakespeare-themed political romance tragedy. And then there's another incomplete story that takes place in a boarding school. Well, what's the word count on these stories? Like how much material do you actually have down? Because like if anything like less than 20,000 words, you can just set it aside. You know, like you can get another 20,000 words in a month. You know, not the end of the world. Um, but yeah, like I see like a lot of and you know, I hope I'm not speculating, but I see like a lot of younger authors come up with like some very big plans for their stories. Um, but the actual work of writing is pretty daunting when it comes right down to it. Like you know, you see me every day, like chopping away at this. Um, so I will tell you also as a reader, nobody really cares about grand plans or big arcs or anything like that. Like if they like your style, they're going to read your stuff. They don't care how long it is. People are going to be just as happy with like a relatively short story that they think is amazing, more so than a novel they think is mediocre. So for the first story, over 8,000 words. Oh, okay, yeah, like um, yeah, anything under 8,000 words, like shit, you know, you could rewrite the entire thing in a week. So the second, barely 1,000. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It sounds like you had this big idea and you were like charging forward towards it. Um, anything in writing that just flames out is usually the characters lack motivation, right? The characters have to want something in the story. Something has to be driving the story forward. There has to be motivation for each of the characters to achieve some goal, and there has to be an external force that they're striving against. In the case of this story, that external force will be their own natures fighting against themselves, and the external force of Duchance, who is just like this crazy fucking demon tearing the city apart. So that's pretty wild right there. Somebody just asked, "Are you Armenian?" And then somebody said, "I'm so sorry about what happened." And then somebody else says, "It didn't even happen." Whew, spicy fucking chats. Uh, all four have werewolves, apparently. Wow, werewolves really seem to matter to you. Um, yeah, like werewolves are kind of like an interesting conceit right there because it's really the idea about of your bestial nature getting control of yourself. So people who find werewolves appealing usually have some kind of inner turmoil that they wish they could let all out, but they're restrained, right? And so it's not a super appealing theme to me because I think all the things that I keep restrained are restrained for a very good reason because they're bad things. They don't need to get out there into the world and hurt people. Um, so like yeah, like werewolf tales aren't like the tales that I find super edifying. Like the tales that are interesting to me are usually ones of like transformation of somebody changing their persona or changing their life or changing their outlook or just being able to change themselves. Because like the fantasy that I find appealing is the idea that people could ever change, which is up there with like werewolves and pixies and vampires and stuff. So yeah. I mean, like that's just keep in mind that that might be like your core element of a theme that you want to work on right there, and you might just need to think about like how can I express this particular theme in a way that is novel. But maybe gas reaching for his stomach. He's still leaning back with his. Oh yeah, that's not a good sentence. He's still leaning against the park bench. The vision felt real. So real he's not sure it wasn't a hallucination. He can smell the bitter hospital smells, latex rubber, disinfectant, and desperation. I must have a fever. I must be really fucked up and hallucinating. Fever dream or not, he has to get out of here. Maybe he needs help. He wobbles to his feet and starts to walk, headed north towards Lemon's bar, but the pain gets worse with every step. I'm dying. His peripheral vision is gone. The world is a narrow hallway extending half a block in front of him. He lurches forward, clutching his stomach with both hands. Maybe he can barely navigate the sidewalk. He stumbles over a pile of garbage bags. Yeah. He lurches forward, clutching his stomach with both hands, and stumbles over a pile of garbage bags. An old woman holding a cat carrier in each hand looks blankly in his direction for a moment before she shrugs and moves on. He'll never make it to Hell's Kitchen at this rate. He's going to collapse. He's going to collapse, crawl into an alley, and die. Yeah. Maybe we'll never make it to Hell's Kitchen bar? What the fuck? Why is this chapter so fucking choppy? Oh, okay. So actually, what you can't see off camera is that the situation, um, it's actually somebody with a current active death threat against me who is upset that I'm going to the FBI against him. So, okay, yeah. So just an FYI, if you want more advice, if somebody is like stalking you on the internet or in person or whatever, um, document all the conversations that they send to you, any like records of calls or whatever there, put it in a big fucking binder, right? Find out their name and identity and where they live and all that good stuff. Take care of all that shit, and then file an FBI report if it's interstate. If it's local, you file a police report in your jurisdiction, and then they will forward it to the. That's if you're. It depends on what they've done. Like if they're communicating terroristic threats, in some cases you'll need to file a police report locally, especially if they specify a business or whatever, and then the local police department will forward it to the FBI in the area where they reside. If you don't have their name and address and all that shit, don't even bother. Like, because the police aren't going to do the digging for you. You got to come up with that info, and then you document all the creepy shit that they've done. You file a report. It takes about 2 to 3 months for the FBI to get in gear, and then they'll just show up and go to that person and be like, "Hey, stop threatening this person." Then, if they have like a bunch of illegal guns and shit at their place, and they've flashed you a bunch of pictures of said guns and so forth, then it's a whole different conversation, and it can run on for a little bit. But yeah, we've had a fair bit of that on FNet recently. A guy who was a multiple-time felon who had literally a duffel bag full of weapons and was threatening to kill an IRC like client developer named Eskimo, who makes I think it's a Android app called Eskimo IRC. So he was threatening to kill this guy, and somebody went to the police and like, hey, this guy's fucking crazy. He's got a bunch of guns he shouldn't have. Go take a look. Lo and behold, the police went over there. They found the duffel bag full of guns. That guy will be going to prison for, I want to say 7 or 8 years minimum, and multiple priors and so forth. So yeah, in this case, if somebody is just doing like creepy, stalky shit against me, which just fucking, happens. If you want to have your face on the internet, you have to deal with these fucking people. All I do is just document all the stuff that they do, and I take it to the authorities. They want to fuck with me IRL, good luck. I'm armed. But I digress. That's the fun part of all this streaming type shit. But hold on. But there's a lot of fucking bullshit keeping me from editing my story right here today. We got catastrophes having every which way. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't give more attention to the editing stream. I just it's so, I don't know what it is about people where they just need attention so fucking bad that they'll literally like, fucking sit in the rain with the fucking boombox and like send you all kinds of death threats and shit like that. I just don't, fucking get over it, people. We don't care about you. Do something important with your life. So maybe we'll never make it. Maybe we'll yeah, that's not a good sentence. Maybe he's halfway across Worth when someone gives the knife in his gut a good hard twist and he cries out. A few people turn their heads, but no one seems to really hear. They just keep shuffling forward. So, New York. In a slow, shriveling wave of terror, Maybe realizes that this is the surgeon. Those same gray, grinning eyes peer from under the brim of... Yeah. The same gray, grinning eyes peer from under the brim of his hat. And a white, gleaming grin slashes across his face. The man in gray has stopped still, looking straight at Maybe. A short kid with curly red hair is standing at his side in a daze. He's been badly beaten. Both his eyes are black. His lip is cut. His lip is cut and there's blood caked under his nose. No one else seems to see them. The pedestrians cut a wide path around them on the sidewalk, stepping into the street to avoid them. Can you hear what I hear? The man in gray sings. His voice is flawless as his shining teeth. Duchance has changed. He's barely recognizable from the sad wreckage of a man whose picture was on the cover of the Post for a solid week. Whose picture was plastered across the cover of the Post for a solid week. Kaiser Duchance looks 20 years younger. His hair is growing back. The deep bags under his eyes have smoothed out and the wrinkles are fading. On the other side of the scale, the battered child standing next to him looks prematurely aged, barely awake with her refugee's hollow stare. Someone should be stopping this, demanding to know why the kid is so beat up, but no one does. There are people... Do you see what I see? Kaiser's voice is deep and mellifluous, but the man himself, there's nothing friendly about that smile. But the man is twisted. That handsome face is just a mask of human skin. Maybe he is rooted in place, his mouth wide with horror. Kaiser's scanning the street, his chin raised as he sniffs the air. He knows Maybe's there. Let me see. A peal of horns at Maybe's left jolts him back to reality. He's standing in the middle of the road. Maybe tenses up, ready to get run over, but there's a car idling at the green light. It's an old Lincoln Continental. Behind it, a garbage truck's horn is blaring. The garbage man gestures out the window at the Lincoln driver. Come on already, Grandpa. God, this is... kind of a janky fucking scene right here. And I'm sorry that I'm coming into it like a little bit reduced. Like I don't have all my editing powers this morning because I've just been on such a fucking run. Mm. All right, so I don't like. Come on already, Grandpa. The Lincoln driver. Okay. Sarah, I think I should go see you later. Yeah, good luck with that fucking story and shaking that whole thing out. Remember, if you're like young as a writer, nothing has to work out. Just keep writing the stuff that you think is cool, and eventually you'll get to a story where like one word will just flow after the other, and it will be easy. And that story still won't be good, but it'll be something. You'll complete it. Just try to get through shorter works at first. Like, 'cause shorter works are easier to make good, and eventually you'll get there. It's just about consistency and persistence. As we see, even though I've had like 3 or 4 days off, I'm still going to keep doing this for like the next 60 or 70 days until it's done. A moment later, the Lincoln glides through the spot where Maybe was frozen. I can't hear the horse at all? God. Yeah, I do not like the Saturday morning streams where I don't get enough sleep, and I just wish I could fucking sleep in till like noon on Saturdays. I just don't have the capacity. I'm just so used to waking up at like even today. I like slept until like almost 7 o'clock, and just not enough sleep at all because I was up until like 2 or 3 in the morning. And it has an impact, man, on the editing here. Like I need to get on some kind of fucking sleep routine. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is our magical Negro for this story right here. Shout outs to what's his name? Sharon. But this is the first book that I ever wrote. Had this cab driver who could drive his car into alternate dimensions. It's like, and he drove a 1966 Lincoln Continental with suicide doors. Fucking love that car. There's one of them parked outside of the TWA hotel. By the way, I got to check it out not too long ago. It's like gorgeous. If I ever have like an international bestseller and they're just cramming money up my ass, like they're stoking the fire of a coal locomotive, I'm gonna buy a 66 Lincoln Continental Midnight Blue with suicide doors. Real talk. If I can find one at that point, I gotta hurry up and write these fucking books. They're getting harder and harder to come by. I'm not one of those like all original parts type motherfuckers either. You can throw like a fucking electric motor in that thing. I don't give a shit. I just like the way that the frame looks. Yeah, I don't understand guys that want to do everything all original. Like we haven't learned a fucking thing about engines in 60 years. I don't know if you've heard the way that those engines sound. It's like boats where they're getting 6 miles to the fucking gallon. And you like turn them on like blah, 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 blah. It sounds like a fucking outboard motor. God. Pinging with that unleaded gasoline. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The driver of the Lincoln is an old black man. He taps his fingers on the steering wheel like he can't hear the horns at all. Perhaps he can't. Maybe it's a lucky break. Maybe dashes out of the street and onto the sidewalk. His heart hammers. A moment later, the Lincoln glides through the space where he was frozen. The old man raises 2 fingers to the brim of his hat as he passes. He's on the verge of panicking. The memory of getting clipped by the taxi makes it hard to breathe. As the Lincoln sails between Maybe and Duchance, the spell breaks. Maybe runs in the opposite direction as fast as he can. Behind him, there's a trail of heads whipping in the direction of the Phantom Runner, but he never looks back. Maybe rounds the corner. At the end of the block, Maybe rounds the corner and keeps sprinting. He wants as much distance between... and keeps sprinting. He doesn't stop running until he hits the Hudson. And when he gets there, he wants to leap in and swim for New Jersey. And swim for Jersey. Instead, Maybe braces himself against the stainless steel reel and nearly pukes from the adrenaline crash. When his lungs quit burning and he can focus on something more than the sun's glare... Yeah. When his lungs quit burning, he notices the pain in his stomach is gone. Just gone. He prods his right side, but it's nothing. 5 minutes ago, he felt like he was going to split in half. It takes him a minute to realize he's shaking. He feels it in his knees, the back of his neck. I was feeling great, then it all turned to shit. Why did I think about that again? Why did I think about all that again? What the fuck was with that guy? When he stops trembling, Maybe walks along the Hudson River. Echoes of Do You See What I See chasing him uptown. Okay. So here is I'm making an executive decision. I am not satisfied with the quality of chapters fucking 11 and 12. These chapters need a second pass, and it's not a... yeah, I did like... Chapter 10 we did a good job with. All right, so chapter 11 and chapter 12 both going to get re-edited. This will be a lighter pass, but I'm not happy with how those 2 chapters went out. I feel like I was kind of like phoning it in today. just like a little foggy from all the festivities and so forth. And yeah, I don't like this chapter. I think it needs more work, and I don't think I'm equipped to do it this morning and to deal with creepers and other shit. But I'm glad that we fucking powered through what we did power through. So today we got fucking 1090 words, and duration of this stream. When did this start? This started at 10:05 right now. This started, first chat came in at 9:09. Let's say an hour and 15 minutes, I think is how long we stream for. Might be whatever. All right, so this was chapter 11. This has happened before on the stream, and like generally, I think it's a good idea. I think if you're not happy with a section, and you can feel when you're not doing good work and so forth, like try to get through what you've allotted, but then go back and fucking do it again. You know, like most parts of a commercial book that you've read have seen like 7 different passes of editing before it gets into your hands. Like this is, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. And it takes time to do this shit. But yeah, 7 fucking passes of editing on each one. And I will tell you, both of those chapters need another pass. But anyhow, thanks if you tuned in and so forth. I'm going to go try and deal with these fucking insane people. You know, why don't they just, you know, fucking chill out? They never will. I mean, that's part of this whole wonderful bargain that we have on the internet. Like, you get to see everybody, and you have to see everybody. So I'll take that fucking trade. I like the internet. All right, y'all. Have a good Saturday. Be real. Might be a good day for me here if certain things work out. And hopefully it's a good day for you too. Real talk.